Hey guys, Hellfire Mike here, and today we're rating the best to worst post-apocalyptic universes to live in. I obviously don't have every single piece of post-apocalyptic media, but I grabbed a wide variety here, and we're gonna just go over those based off what I know about the universe and the lore and everything like that. So, obviously S tier being the best place to live, D tier being you're probably just gonna die. Okay, so obviously we gotta start with the focus of my channel and the universe that I know the most about. That's gonna be Fallout. Now, Fallout's kind of an interesting one because it really depends on when and where you live in the universe. Because if you're in like New California, like during the height of the NCR, you could just like live a normal life. Like you could just have like a normal job. You could be like a cashier at like a grocery store, and that like there might be some bandits or like there's some wasteland creatures and radiation you have to deal with, but it's really like on the low tier of threats. Or you could live in like the pit before the Brotherhood of Steel showed up and just have to live in an industrial radioactive toxin mutant raider filled pit, hence the name. So I think Fallout really varies where and when, but I think as far as post-apocalyptic universes go, it's probably one of the best ones to end up in because you do have a pretty good chance of living somewhere where there's a decent chunk of civilization and you can work and just have like a normal job and have a reliable source of food. I mean, if you live anywhere on the West Coast, you're pretty much set to some degree. There is some sort of society that will be formed that will protect you, they'll keep you safe, and you can just have like a normal employment. You can be a farmer, if you're in Vegas, you can literally just be a blackjack dealer and live in a hotel. So for that reason, as far as post-apocalyptic universes go, we're starting off strong, and I'm gonna put Fallout into S tier. I think it's probably the best, if not one of the best, post-apocalyptic universes to be put into. Sure, there's a lot of crap that wants to kill you, but you don't have to deal with that. You could just be a normal dude and live in a town 99% of the time in that universe. After that, next we're going straight into zombie apocalypse with Dying Light, the Dying Light universe. Now, zombie apocalypse in general, those are pretty mixed bag because if you start with like some Shaun of the Dead stuff, that's a really easy universe to live in. I mean, he literally just goes to like this, like, it's nothing. But then Dying Light's kind of the virus from Dying Light is gnarly, right? There's the volatiles. You can't go out at night. You're just gonna get ripped to shreds by some steroided out super zombie. Then you have to deal with normal bandits, the normal finding resources, everything like that. So as far as zombie apocalypses go, Dying Light is pretty bad. And for that reason, I'm gonna put it right in the middle. It's not good, but it's not the worst place to live. There still are like centers of safety and civilization. Like it's not great. But if you're not like a runner and you don't leave the places that aren't protected, you can live not well, but like there's not like you're not going to get ripped to pieces guaranteed, right? So it's not awful. Next is the Metro universe, which sucks, right? So Fallout, it doesn't. Okay, so Metro is worse than Fallout easily just because you're trapped underground. And I think the apocalypse in Metro is overall worse, right? But again, it still has there's still society. After a while, after like the Metro's formed a functioning society, you can end up in the fascist Nazis, or you can end up with the communist Reds, and that's a terrible way to live either way. You're probably just gonna end up being killed or tossed away as cannon fodder. But you get lucky and live somewhere like Hansa, which is like has electricity, homes, like reliable food, running water. Like sure, you're underground and that sucks, but again, it's kind of like Fallout. You can just have a normal job. Like you could be like a bartender and be fine and never have to deal with the mutants or radiation or anything. You have guards. You just pay like taxes. Like that it's kind of just sure you're underground, never see the sun. That sucks, and your living situation sucks, and disease and everything is way worse. But like you don't have to be a stalker or a ranger and going out into the surface. You can live a normal life depending on where you are, but you also run the risk you can live in a station like the Curse Station and just get annihilated by mutants no matter what you do, full of radiation, disease, everything like that. So for that reason, I'm going to put Metro at A tier. I know people might disagree with that. I think it's worse than Fallout to live in, but I think it's better than most places because there still is civilization in the metros. Depending on where you are, you can live an okay life. You can still have food, just work an okay job, be a repairman, be a guard. You don't have to go out into the surface and fight demons and bandits and all that craziness, right? So next we have Mad Max, the Mad Max universe. I would not want to live in the Mad Max universe. I mean, I wouldn't want to live in any of these, but Mad Max, as fun as it is to watch, what an awful place to live. It's all just desert. You have to kill people for water. You've got like a 99% chance you're going to either end up as killed by a slave or food to some interesting personality having warlord, you know, a Morton Joe, Toe Cutter, whatever. And even if you do get taken to those guys, you know, the Mad Max like civilization is terrible unless you're like the top group leading it, right? Morton Joe's people, his subjects literally live in holes underground, like eating each other. And even if you're in his army, you're just gonna die for some stupid war. Or you could be like, even if you live in the upper areas of the Citadel and you're like one of the like you literally are just a slave. You have the bare minimum to exist. You have no rights. If you get sick, you're just done. Like you don't matter at all. So I don't think that's a great universe to live in either. Even and if you're some Mad Max type lone wanderer trying to be out on the run, you're probably just going to get ran down by one of the many warlords in the wasteland, Morton Joe. Oh my God, I can't remember the guy's name from Furiosa. This is going to drive me crazy. Chris Hemsworth from Furiosa's biker gang, the Toe Cutters, Lord Humongous. Like, you either have to be a villain and live okay, toss away all your morals, or try and live on your own, get killed, eaten, or enslaved, or be the subject to a brutal warlord and live like terribly. So I'm going to put Mad Max in C tier. Like for the average person, especially if you don't know anything about cars, like you're cooked. You need a car to live. You need to repair a car. If you don't know anything about how to fix a car, you're done. You're done for. So Mad Max, terrible. I would not want to live there. You're going to die of starvation, thirst, like not a fun universe by any means. Now we're going back into the zombies. The next one I have is Left 4 Dead. Now, Left 4 Dead, that is a gnarly zombie universe. Not only do you have the normal infected who can sprint and run and hear things and are fairly intelligent, you have the special infected, like a tank, spitters, hunters. So, I mean, it's kind of on the same level as Dying Light, where they don't see much in the games. In the comics, there are little strongholds of the military. There's little bits of civilization. For the most part, they are all overran. And half of that is because of the player character's fault. They're all carriers, so every person they interact with, they end up infecting. But I think Left 4 Dead is kind of on the same level as, if not a little bit worse than Dying Light. So I'm going to put that right in the middle at B. You can theoretically survive, but you're probably going to get ripped to pieces by some sort of insane infected. Now, next we have the Terminator, not like time travel. Terminator, like specifically after the war, like you're in the Resistance. What an awful time to live. First off, you had to survive a nuclear apocalypse and deal with all of the threats that come with that: radiation, disease, whatever, lack of resources, lack of food, banditry, no civilization. And then on top of that, Skynet, there's literal robot soldiers hunting you down to extinction. So you immediately survive a nuclear war to then tossed into a war for immediately a world war for survival of the human race. Now, in most scenarios, humanity does win. Yes. What an awful way to live. What an awful time to live. You scrounging for supplies, scrounging for resources, and then a robot shows up and just takes your whole community out because you can't hurt any, especially if you're in the early timelines before the Resistance re-engineers the laser guns and you just have like a normal AR. You're not stopping the Terminators. You're done. You're cooked. You're getting killed. And on top of that, it does you're this hot dude you hooked up with. You're traveling with. You're like, I finally, this is awesome. I get this super strong. And then they're a Terminator. They kill you. The infiltrators are terrifying. That's so scary. You meet someone in the wasteland and you're like, finally, we got it. This is my homeboy. And then they're a Terminator and they kill you. It's Fallout and Metro, and then there's robots that want to kill you. That's D tier to me. That is all. Like, your chances of surviving in the Terminator universe after the nuclear apocalypse caused by Skynet is like net zero. You're already dealing with the horrors of nuclear war, and then you're being hunted down by nigh indestructible machines. Like, that's awful. I'd rather live in any of these other universes, I think, than Terminator so far. Screw that. Next we have Waterworld, Kevin Costner's greatest film. And I gotta say, Waterworld's probably kind of on par with Mad Max, right? It's just, instead of being in the desert, you're in the water. and there's little bits of civilization, but the quality of life there is terrible, and you're most likely going to be attacked or enslaved or have to join some sort of unique, funny acting warlord like the Deacon and the Smokers. There is dry land, that is true, but unless you're like the three people who made it there, you're living on a boat and or an atoll, struggling to survive, eating nothing. Like that's C tier for me, right? That's Mad. It's pretty much Mad Max on water. It has all the negatives of Mad Max. It's slightly worse because you're on the water. I'd rather at least be on land. Being in the ocean constantly, that would suck. Especially if you're not like the Mariner and you can breathe, like you're just a normal dude. Like you're just gonna like you can just drown. Like that's a crap way to. Yeah, I like the ocean, but I would not want to live in the ocean. Waterworld C tier for me. The Walking Dead. Now this one really depends on where you are. Personally, I believe. So if you're near cities, this sucks. You're probably gonna die, or you're gonna get infected, or get bombed by the government, whatever. But if you live in like the middle of nowhere, kind of like Herschel on his farm, it's really not that bad for a while. You know, you can kind of hide from a lot of this stuff. So I live in North Dakota. I'm in the middle of nowhere, and one thing that happens in the Walking Dead comics, at least, like one of the reasons like they're able to like rebuild near the end, is there's like a giant super long winter that just like freezes all the walkers, and then you just go up and kill them. They can't do anything. They're just frozen solid. That's just North Dakota every winter. So if you were up in like the Midwest and winter comes through, you just walk around with a hammer killing all the frozen zombies. Sorry, walkers. And then you're set. Like sure, society is collapsing. You have to deal with like bandits and everything like that. But I would say Walking Dead is like a high A tier. It really like if you're not an idiot and the writers don't have to write you off, it's one of the easier zombie movies to survive. The zombies are dumb, slow, they're shambling. They don't have any special versions. There's no rules. You can't go out at night. There's nothing like that. There's plenty of societies that exist. And for the most part, you kind of just have to wait the infected out. They will eventually, according to the Walking Dead canon, they're eventually dealt with and civilization gets rebuilt within like 20 years. So, I mean, again, not great. But as far as apocalypses go, I think the Walking Dead's fairly easy to survive. Now, next we have, I did the Quiet Place and Bird Box kind of as one thing. An apocalyptic situation of like an alien invasion or, you know, creatures that you can't use one of your sites. To me, that's down there with the Terminators. That's D tier. That is an awful. You can't make noise, or these giant demon aliens are just gonna rip you to pieces. That's terrible. I love talking. I have a YouTube channel. I love talking. Never being able to speak. That's awful. And then Bird Box, not being able to see, or these like ghostly demon things. I don't really know a lot about Bird Box, to be honest. Either one of them. It's you have to survive a normal post-apocalyptic situation while losing either your vision or the ability to make noise. Not just the ability to speak, just sound in general. You trip, you're dead. You have to sneeze, you better hold it in. That's awful. That's a terrible, like, you're already dealing with everything. Awful. I like to talk. I want to be able to see. If I had to survive an apocalypse, I can never lay my eyes on my beautiful wife again. No, that is D tier. That's poo-poo tier. Nah. Another one that's terrible. I Am Legend. I would not want to live in this universe. It's kind of like Dying Light. Very similar. Actually, no, I never realized that. I wonder, Dying Light probably watched I Am Legend. They're like, you know what? Or read the book. Yeah, super roided out, like Arnold Schwarzenegger zombies come out at night. Like, or they're like vampires, essentially. And they're intelligent. They're very smart. They can track trails. You know, actually, this is worse than Dying Light, I think, because all of the zombies are like this, and all of them are fairly smart. That's going in, we'll put that in C tier, because it still is possible to live if you're away from big, you know, centers, and they don't really, the zombies are seen as intelligent, right? And like the hidden ending and like the book, you can leave their area and just leave them alone, and they won't mess with you. As long as you leave them alone, like there's a whole community out in like the woods that's doing pretty good, and they just don't screw with the vampire zombies, and you're fine. Yeah, still wouldn't want to, low tier, wouldn't want to live there, but you can survive. Next is Wasteland, because of the Wasteland games, the predecessors to the original Fallouts. Now this is kind of in the Metro level to me. There's not a lot of mutants in Wasteland. It's a lot of bandits and raiders and things like that. But there's also an AI Skynet robot at the end that makes like synths and robots that tries to hunt you down. Granted, the Rangers do beat it. It's probably A tier, honestly. It's nuclear apocalypse, not good, but there's a lot of rebuilt civilization. The enemies you're fighting aren't terrible. You can go out to the surface. There's still farming. You can live in a normal town, you know, and have a normal job. You can exist as a farmer. You can exist as a salesperson. So yeah, it's A tier. That's not terrible. Honestly, it's not terrible. It's not great, but it's slightly better. A tier, slightly higher than Metro and The Walking Dead, I think. And then I have Frostpunk here as well, which is like a environmental apocalypse. It's always frozen. It's always super cold all the time. See, I already live in Frostpunk, right? I live in North Dakota. This place competes to be the coldest place on Earth between Antarctica and Alaska, if I remember right. And we often win. So it gets down to like -70 here with wind chill. So I already live in Frostpunk, and let me tell you, that sucks. That 24/7 with like having to rely on like coal heaters and stuff to stay warm. That's terrible. I'm gonna put that on C tier along with like Mad Max and Waterworld. It's kind of, yeah, it's just one environment extreme. You're either in the desert, the water, or frozen tundra. I would rather be in the desert or the water than the frozen tundra. Freezing to death, that's awful. Nothing grows. It's always cold. It's miserable. That's C tier. And last but certainly the worst, and I can't even really talk about this one too much without getting demonetized on YouTube, is the Crossed universe. That is immediately the worst place to live, D tier, bar none. If you have read it, you know, if you know anything about Crossed, you know why it's down there. I can't really go into detail. Zombie apocalypse, but a million times worse, essentially. Awful universe to live in. Screw that. Yeah, so all these universes would suck. So it'll be terrible to live in compared to, you know, modern life now. But some of them aren't so bad. I mean, if I had to pick, obviously I love Fallout, but I also think like if you just live in the West Coast in the Fallout universe, you can kind of just have a normal job. You can just like be a mailman, be a grocery store worker, be a blackjack dealer, and live well enough. So that's my tier. Let me go what you guys think. There might be some hot takes there. I feel like people are, I don't know, maybe the Dying Light, Left 4 Dead, that might be a little worse. I feel like some people might argue with me on Terminator, but just imagine that it's the Metro universe essentially, and then there's also super robots that want to kill you. So I don't think it's good. Let me know what you guys think down below. I know obviously I didn't capture all post-apocalyptic media. There's a lot of things like Snowpiercer, The Road, things like that. I was trying to do like a wide variety. If this video does well, if you guys like it, let me know. I can do another list. We can cover things like 28 Days Later, stuff like that. You know, just let me know. And then, of course, thank you for watching. If you got this far, make sure you like and subscribe. And I did put Stalker in the thumbnails, a little bit of clickbait. I know Stalker's not actually a post-apocalyptic universe. I just wanted to rage bait some Stalker fans into potentially watching the video. So if you fell for it, ha.